population numbers, and Princeton in Collin County, just northeast of the DFW Metroplex, showed the fastest growth of any city in the country, with a 30.6% growth rate to 37,000 residents. Houston had the second largest numeric gain behind New York, but ahead of Los Angeles. San Antonio was fourth in that category. Fort Worth was fifth. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Authorities say a Texas mother is accused of buying her 13-year-old son ammunition and tactical gear. Police say he was planning mass violence at his school. The mother has been charged with aiding in the commission of terrorism. Authorities in San Antonio said the boy's mother had previously been contacted by police, her son's school, Child Protective Services, with concerns about the boy. She's free on a $75,000 bond. The boy has been charged with terrorism and remains in custody. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Vote for me and I'll set you free.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now over me.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters here on Zacky Radio. And before we jump into anything, I want to give a big shout out, hello, welcome, and thank you to everybody out there tuned in on 93 KPGF, as well as AM 1060, and to all the folks out there listening on the Salem Network, the Answer Network, Radio for America, the Kevin Jackson Network, and AON Television. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to everybody at those networks for putting this program out there. We really appreciate the opportunity to get our voices heard and to bring this awesome knowledge to all your amazing viewers. So thank you for that. Folks, if you want to watch the show and see my ugly mug or Josh's handsome face, you can always go to America Matters Media's Facebook page or LinkedIn page, or you can go to Zacky Radio on Rumble or YouTube and like, subscribe, and follow there. We want to hear from you, so comment on our stuff. It means a lot. We want to hear your feedback. And with that, Eddie, I'm kicking it over to you, brother.
Thank you very much, Leo, and I'm going to kick it right back to you because I'd like you and Josh to bring me up to date on what I wrote down from the article that I read. $100,000 for a Zoom call, guns, speech, and the cost of intimidation, my friend.
Well, there's a lot going on. Josh, why don't you start us off. And we can't hear him.
Nope.
There he is.
There he is.
Well, we've got a rifle on Zoom. We've got a 7-year-old with a gun, 7-year-old with guns, spyware in your kids' Chromebooks at school, and robots building each other in U.S. factories. Stories aren't. Sure.
Well, you're cutting out.
If you're not disturbed, you're not.
Hold on, Josh. You're cutting out. So I'll start this one off here.
Okay.
So, a rifle on Zoom, a 7-year-old with a gun, spyware in your kid's Chromebook, and robots building each other in U.S. factories. We've got crazy stories. These stories are today's stories and not the future. It's here today. And they're the warning signs. If you're not disturbed yet, then you're not paying attention. So let's unpack the chaos and the courage and the crossroads that we're standing at right now. So, how about this? $100,000 for a Zoom call? How's that sound?
Unbelievable.
I don't know who that was. It Charlie Kirk charging?
Yeah, I think so.
When the government gets involved, dollar signs get thrown around.
They love adding those zeros on there. So, check this out. A woman speaks during public comment, and a commissioner disappears from Zoom and returns holding a rifle. No words, just the weapon. So, now there's $100,000 payout. I mean, they're saying intimidation, free speech, and why this matters. Sounds kind of crazy, huh?
So this thing started in January 2021. This was happening when there was all the BLM stuff and the Proud Boys, all that going on. Again, let's take this back and put this in context, right? It was a Zoom call, and one of the commissioners was, basically sued, but it wasn't because he was employed by the government. The government got sued. So flash forward to today, 4 years later, and this is why it's news. The judge decided $100,000. Oh, well, okay, we'll pay this woman because she felt intimidated. That's the crux of the story, but it gets some weird stuff here.
Yeah, this is pretty wild to me. So, resident Patricia McIntosh speaks out at a public Zoom meeting and urges the board to denounce anti-government extremism. And then shortly after the Capitol riot, this is when this all took place. Now the commissioner for this hearing, Ron Kloss, steps away and returns back on camera, visibly holding a rifle. And he says nothing, but the gesture is very loud.
And we've seen the video. I'm not sure if we're going to be playing it today because the quality of it wasn't very good. But he's holding a hunting rifle, and this just happens to be with her talking about, people shouldn't have guns and blah blah blah. And he was just making a statement: "I'm a hunter, and we're allowed to have guns." He didn't say anything.
Come and take it, basically. It's a virtual meeting. And, this is weird. So there's a lawsuit, obviously. And so McIntosh is suing, allegedly displaying his rifle displayed a hostile environment that chilled her and infringed on her First Amendment. What kind of nuts is that, Do you think it did?
No.
First of all, let's take it down to what it is. It is people taking advantage of trying to get a payout. Whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to get a payout. I'm sure she's seen a lot of things on screens, like literally watch any Hollywood movie. You'll see guns on screen.
Right.
But here, because this guy was employed by the government, she found an opportunity to say, "Oh, it was intimidating, and I want money."
Right? That's what people seem to do, is they love to take advantage of this kind of stuff. They don't care who it impacts because it's the government's money. It's not our money. It's just people just being gross. Just gross people. I hate when that. It's like ambulance chasers,
Well, there is a case here for normalizing guns, because in our next segment, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what actually happens when kids get a hold of guns. But this one was a hunter, and the fact that he had to pay out, that the county had to pay out $100,000 because he flashed it on scene. It's it's a slippery slope here.
No, it certainly is. It's just, where does this go? Where does this devolve into? There has to be a limit. We haven't found it yet. So
it's an ongoing conversation, man, and that's the thing. But with firearms, it can be it's such a polarizing topic, because if you're a victim of violence that was with a firearm, suddenly your entire situation changes, and I understand that. Someone who gets murdered or in those situations, but again, it still comes down. Is it is it your feelings, or is it my right?
It's my right. That's where it is in my book. So I'll leave it at that. We got to take our first break here on America Matters. Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Josh Matriciana. We'll be right back.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
In times of market volatility, it can be a good reminder to revisit your financial strategies to make sure they align with your goals. Call 775-674-2222 or visit nvretirementplanners.com. Advisory services are offered through Nevada Retirement Planners, an investment advisor in the state of Nevada. Any insurance products and services are offered through Nevada Senior Advisors. Nevada Retirement Planners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency. Nevada Retirement Planners does not provide legal or tax advice.
I used to love going for long walks, but my back just doesn't cooperate like it used to.
Same here. But ever since I started a routine with Active Life Integrated Health on Moana Lane, I feel more flexible and in control. You should check them out.
This is Dr. Tom Waldorf. Let's make it happen so you can feel better naturally. To schedule the beginning of your transformation, call 775-842-0065 or visit activelifereno.com online.
Can you define the 4 different parts of Medicare? Do you have Medicare prescription drug gap coverage? At Nevada Senior Advisors, we will walk through the different parts of Medicare, including Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Part D prescription plans to help you determine which option is right for you. Visit nvsenioradvisors.com, call 775-674-2223 to set up an appointment. Nevada Senior Advisors is not affiliated with or endorsed by the federal Medicare program or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We got Joshua Matriciano with us. And we were just talking about some ridiculous lawsuit, but we're going to move on to our next segment here. Josh, tell us a little bit about that. Muted.
So, if a silent rifle on Zoom can silence a citizen, what happens when the weapon is in the hands of a child? I mean, let's talk about this thing in Albuquerque where 2 little boys turned a front yard into literally a standoff.
Wow, that's wild. Well, I think we have a video about this. So it's a bit of a longer one. So let's play it real quick here.
All right.
341, 131. We're going to be on the north side of the house.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
Just go ahead and drop that.
Put it down, babe. Go ahead and put it down for me, okay?
You're not in trouble, but you have to drop that and come talk to us, all right?
See if there's a magazine inside the magazine well.
Put it down, baby.
They're playing with the gun back and forth. The one in the blue is trying to take it from the one in the orange.
Put it down, baby.
Just drop it, buddy.
Put it down, babe. You're okay. Put it down.
And now the kid in the blue and green has a
I
firearm.
need you to put it down, baby.
The sooner you put that down, the sooner we can take you home.
You dropped the gun!
Taser! 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 Put your hands up! Close the kid! Put your hands up! Pull them up! Lock it! Hands up! Drop it now. Drop it, both of you.
I don't even have the gun. I don't have the gun.
Get over here.
So we see in that video there's 2 little kids. One of them's got a gun. They're handing it back and forth. The cops are surrounding them. And the kids are like, I don't have a gun, but they can literally see them on camera. And one of the parts in this is one of the cops is saying, I don't want to have to kill a kid. And but yet they go there, they surround them, disarm the kids, put them in handcuffs, and take them away without, thankfully, anyone getting hurt.
Yeah, well, it's pretty crazy. I mean, this isn't a game that you play with cops. And I don't know how the hell those kids got a hold of it, but that's when stuff like that happens, that's an issue with the parents. Or
I think both of them
whoever.
were under 10, right, Josh? Both
Yeah.
of them were under 10. Yeah.
One was 7, one was 9.
Wow.
Thank God nobody got killed. But look, that's the kind of stuff that gives firearm owners a bad name. Is you're supposed to be responsible with your guns. You keep them stored, you keep them locked away, you keep them where children can't get to it. So when kids get in the hold of a loaded firearm like that, you give all of us a bad name.
You know, one thing to note here is that law enforcement had been called to that house over 50 times prior to this incident.
Wow.
You're
That's
absolutely
crazy.
right, Leo, when you're saying that the parents need to have some kind of interaction here. Obviously, these parents are, what's a good way of saying it? Not the best.
Yeah. Irresponsible, to say the least.
To say the
I mean,
least.
50 times. If the cops are coming to your house 50 times, I mean, think about it. There's 52 weeks in a year. I doubt they're coming every week. So, they got to be getting multiple calls multiple times a week, probably multiple times a day about these people. At what point do you just say, look, you guys are a problem and clearly there's something wrong that they're doing, and just get them in trouble for something to put a stop to this? I mean, look, the good news is they had that aerial drone that could show, what was going on, where the kids were, who had the gun, what it was. They're like, oh, is there a magazine in the magazine? Well, because they're like, really like, we don't want to have to kill some kids right now. But at the end of the day, that's a decision the cops have to make because, some dumb kid playing with guns that an irresponsible parent allowed them to get their hands on versus them not being able to go home with their kids and their family. Right? Those are the kinds of choices that cops have to make. And so, I don't know if it's like the mom that's yelling it or some other officer saying, put the gun down, put it down, baby. Look, they're kids, not criminals, but they're just dumb.
Well, let's look. These kids, these weren't just your regular kids. They were trained, according to Sheriff John Allen, who made a statement on it. They knew how to handle firearms, and in the video, you can actually see the kid holding both hands. I mean, they knew what they were doing with it, which is a little scary.
I don't think it's that hard to figure out how to use a gun.
Okay. The scary part isn't that the kids know how to use guns. Shoot, I knew how to. I was properly trained and knew how to use a firearm at 7 years old as well, because I grew up on a ranch and we had a shooting range, and that was just part of our lifestyle. However, when you've got cops coming at you and telling you put it down, and they're handing it back and forth, thinking it's the game, this is the difference here between these kids. I think, this is my personal opinion, between these kids and the world that I grew up in is, honestly, video games. These kids probably play Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty. Nothing, but it's for
Hey.
adults. It's for 17 plus, right? And these kids are 7 and 9.
I was playing Grand Theft Auto back in the day when I was a kid. I'm going to defend that. I'll defend Grand Theft Auto all day. That's a great game.
It's a super fun game. I've got it at home too. I've beaten it. But the point being is that when my kids handle firearms, they know this is not a toy. This is not a game. And obviously these parents, didn't do that with these kids.
Right. I mean, look, this is what I was taught from a very early age. You don't point a gun at anybody, and you don't pull out a gun and point it at somebody unless you're going to pull the trigger. It's that simple. This isn't a little wand you wave around and be like, oh, I'm Mr. Tough Guy. But these kids, they don't understand, because clearly their parents are too stupid to keep the guns, away from them, and too dumb to explain the consequences of screwing around with firearms. Like, these kids could have gotten.
They were so close to getting killed. That's the crazy
for
part
sure.
about it.
For sure. They don't even know. Like, they might as well have been like, dancing on an ice bridge over an erupting volcano, like, so
great visual image there.
I'm just saying, this is what came to mind. But look, no criminal charges were put against the kids. But, what about the parents? What about the parents? Because I feel like, when we hear about these school shootings and crap like that, the parents should be getting punished.
Well, this father actually went to jail.
Good.
Yeah, he went to jail. We're not sure if what charges he's going to face, but allowing your minor to. I'm assuming that it's the father's gun. I'm assuming that these kids didn't own it. So being able to keep
it's a Glock.
Oh yeah, you're like it's a white one. It looks like it's got some green paint on it too. That looks pretty cool.
No, I mean it's a. I'm just looking at the videos it's playing right now. Remember, folks, if you want to see the videos of what we're playing, what we're looking at, Zacky Radio on Rumble or YouTube. But yeah, it's just these kids they think it's a toy. Clearly.
Yeah.
Was that Buzz Lightyear shirt?
Right. It's wearing Buzz Lightyear PJs. Hiding behind it. It looks like an air conditioning unit. And there they are, just waving a gun around, passing it back and forth. That type of familiarity with a gun. Like, first of all, I know you have some respect for a gun. When you touch a gun, you know that you're holding a weapon that could take someone's life.
Oh yeah.
And these kids are just kind of waving it around like it's a squirt gun.
Well, they're hiding. They're hiding. They're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
They don't really, because they're 9 and 7. They don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's my kid's age. I'm just looking at this and like, boy, this is bad parenting to the max.
Yeah.
To the max.
Oh God.
I mean, we can debate gun laws, but if 7-year-olds are staging handoffs in Minecraft hoodies, something's failed.
Yeah. Well, look, the good news is law enforcement showed, restraint, but the system showed no mercy, and the system showed mercy. So we all need to show some urgency here when it comes to getting things like this to stop, because, this could have ended with dead kids or a dead cop and dead kids.
Right.
Yeah. This is a second chance here, and I hope they realize how lucky they are, and I hope they don't do dumb stuff like this again. But, look, when a 7-year-old picks up a gun, it's a crisis we can see. But when millions of kids log on to school-issued devices and quietly store their privacy before they can even spell the word consent, that's a different danger on its own. One that hides behind a login screen. So let's talk about the digital trail that your child is already leaving, and even scarier, who's watching. So we're going to talk about that when we come back to America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, and Joshua Matriciana. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
The Delta and Bonanza Dunes in Virginia City are simply elegant. Imagine ascending the grand staircase and being surrounded by the Victorian elegance and grandeur of the historic banquet rooms. Original crystal chandeliers, mahogany bars, and oak dance floors highlight the eloquence point spaces, a truly romantic and unique setting for your wedding, banquets, or holiday parties. Detailed ceremony and menu planning ensures your special event is a memorable occasion. With just one call to Jesse at 775-847-0789, all of your arrangements will be handled by their experienced staff. With every expectation in mind, including cakes, flowers, photography, videography, music, and party amenities. Complete ceremony and reception packages are available, as well as their famous themed weddings. Since 1865, the Delta and Bonanza Saloon's guests have come from every state in the Union. Now it's your turn. No event is too large or too small. Let the Delta and Bonanza Saloons plan your next incredible event. Call Jesse at 775-847-0789.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky, Eddie Floyd Chamilossett, and Joshua Matriciana. We're just talking about these kids with guns, which is dumb, but lucky that they're alive. That's the thing. We got to avoid that kind of stuff. But we were going to now go into talking about what's going on with inside the kids' login screens with this, the Chromebooks that they're getting. A Chromebook, a free one for your kids from school. What a great tool, right? But what if it also had data collection on that device, and they're profiling your child before they even hit puberty, spying in there? What do you think about that? Sounds a bit weird to me.
Well, we're starting off here, man. We're talking about kids with guns. Reminds me of a song. Kids with guns, and the people who are trying to take our liberties away from us are going to use that as an excuse for more surveillance. But what they're doing behind the scenes, look, all of my kids get Chromebooks. I think almost all the kids in California get a computer when they're going, coming back from school, depending on what grade you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But here, the scary thing, this is what we've been talking about before: privacy, surveillance. A Chromebook is a very, very high-tech surveillance device. It's got a camera, it's got a microphone, and when it's owned by the government, now they've got that listening device in your house.
Yeah, and everywhere the kid goes and takes it and uses it. So, these school-issue Chromebooks are pretty much everywhere, and for families, they become synonymous with modern education. But as the kids are logging in and they browse, many parents don't realize that somebody is actually watching. So whether it's Google services or Chrome Sync or some third-party integration, the student's behavior is being tracked. And data collection is what it's all about, because it's all about money. You got to find a way to offset giving away these computers, right? There has to be some sort of way that they're getting money. They don't just do this out of the kindness of their hearts, right? Of course not. So they have Chrome Sync plus default settings equals full digital tracking. That's what's going on here. You get that in combination, and they're going to get your browsing history. They're going to get the app usage. They're going to get the clicks, the keywords, the locations that their computer's being used. So while Google says it doesn't use the data for behavioral ads in education, non-core services are the loophole. So this can feed into AI training and long-term profiling and the future of ad targeting. How are they going to sell your kids on something that the kids are then going to say, "Mommy, buy me this,"
Scares me the most about this is this is going back, when we had the Red Scare in the 50s and the 60s, and you're talking about, the communists spying on their own people. They all had bugs in their houses. Well, guess what? We have bugs in our houses too, but not just one, not just two, probably dozens.
Yeah.
And how the step for a government to be able to turn on those microphones and get, hey, we just had this, the governor or the representative in this area just made this statement. I wonder what the sentiment is within the personal houses. Let's just turn on all the kids' MacBooks. They're owned by the school, they're owned by the government, so they have the right to literally turn it on. Now, obviously, this is a really insidious way of doing it, but it's not impossible. In fact, it's so easy, and that's why we're blowing the whistle on it right now.
It's not hyperbole. This is This stuff happens. I mean, everybody's got what? A lot of people got the Alexas in their houses, right? You know, those are listening to every damn thing you do. You got your phone in your pocket at all times. Plus, your spouse has got their phone, or you know, your kid, depending on if you got your kid a phone or not. There's a microphone there. I mean, there's microphones in so many things. All these quote unquote smart devices. And the parents aren't being told about what's being tracked or where it's being stored or who even sees it. And the school policies are very vague, and opt-out forms are buried. So the settings to collect this information are default on. And many families feel they're accepting surveillance by accident just to keep up in class. So, I mean, the Chromebooks, they offer some real security features, auto updates and sandboxing and encryption, but admin level control is what you really need to be looking into, because that's what actually like allows you to have total control over a computer's operating system. So, if you have admin level control, you can have deep access into the activity of the students that have these computers, or the screenshots that are being taken, the web history, location logs, and so where does the protection end and the monitoring begin, Josh?
Heard especially just recently about teachers. Even one teacher, she was a teacher of the year, and now she's in court because of sexually abusing dozens of kids. And we're seeing these things happen over and over and over, especially in California, scarily enough, where teachers are abusing their trust with children. It doesn't take. Okay, we've got two things here. One is, you mentioned Alexa and these things where you have surveillance by corporations. Obviously, we don't love it, but now we're talking about surveillance by literally the government, and potentially how easy it is for bad actors, to get access into that. Can a teacher who's twisted in the head be able to log into their, to that student's Chromebook? Well, the fact that there's admin permissions installed on all of these computers because they're state-owned computers says that that's a very easy thing to accomplish.
Right. And, when you hear about teachers passing out, surveys to their kids asking about if there's any sexual fantasy that they've thought about, or a classmate they'd like to do stuff with,
Ugh.
Yeah, it's another layer of creepiness to it. And you don't know what's going on anymore in the kids' classes because they're back in school, right? They're not learning remotely anymore. So you don't really get that inside peek, but there's the opportunity for folks to peer into what kids are doing. Who knows what communications are being sent back and forth on that computer? You're not seeing it, right? I mean, how often are you going in your kid's Chromebook, right?
Well, there's this other thing where the government and government officials, especially people on the school boards involved in the education department, they.
Damn it. We'll get back to Josh on that. But, the other big issue here is that, he mentioned corporations. I mean, this is shaping behavior and habits and brand loyalty. I mean, right? You give your kid a Chromebook. Well, they're like, wow, this is great. Well, guess what? What's the next device you're going to want to get? Another Apple product, right? So it makes everybody conform into a certain realm there as well. So what you can do to help protect is review the settings, turn off Chrome Sync, disable non-core services, and you got to ask the schools and demand clarity for opt-out options. And consider the alternatives. Some districts let you bring your own device, so you can, have your own non-state-owned device in your kid's hands. And you got to teach your kids too that their clicks matter and their data does too. Because privacy isn't just policy, it's value. And it starts with awareness. Because if you don't know about it, I mean, this world has become a very data-driven world. Josh, looks like you're back. So here, finish your point you were saying.
Well, the thing here is that we're allowed. Okay, the parents are not allowed to know what's going on in the classroom. In fact, if your kid wants to talk about, oh, they're not going by he, him, they're going by they, them, or whatever. The teachers aren't even allowed to tell the parents about that. However, the opposite is true. The teachers can know what's going on in the house, whereas the parents aren't allowed to know what's going on in the classroom. So that to me is something that, it's a huge infringement on what I feel is on parental rights. But getting the Chromebooks into the house is just one more encroachment into, our privacy, but the privacy of minors.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is that the privacy of the minors is being infringed upon. And it's just so weird that you have, between the state and the corporations, how hell-bent they are on getting this data.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to the whole concept of this day and age we live in. Data is what's so valuable. This is what they want, because then they can say, oh, look, we have, based on these 10 million Chromebooks or whatever, 1 million Chromebooks that we've given to children. These are the ads or the apps or the things that they're searching for or going to. And then you just build out marketing programs based on that data. That's the value in it.
Well, let's take it a step further, though. Why is data like the digital gold that everyone's trying to get? I mean, if you look for an example, Tesla. Tesla's not a car company. It's a data company.
Right.
But why is data so valuable? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because with enough data, you can predict the future at an incredible accuracy.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Where are people going to go? What they're going to buy? Because it's all about how you're going to collect their people's money. How do you get their money? Predictive programming, essentially because people tend to be creatures of habits. Like, where are they going to go at what time, and what are they going to purchase, and how can you incentivize them to buy your product as opposed to the product that they're currently buying?
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
More than just product. It's about how is the population going to respond to this encroachment of their personal liberties.
What happens is you bring them convenience in exchange for their privacy, and they're all like, oh, hell yeah, do it. Put my credit card on my phone so I don't have to carry a wallet anymore because cash is dead.
This is where I have a problem with most politicians today. They all look at themselves in this different elitist group, rules for the regular population, but not for us. We see this happen over and over and over. And what we need is someone who's going in here and does a clean sweep. We saw it with Trump. He went in there as not a politician, but he's making changes, and he brought in common sense. And I think that we need more political candidates to come in here and say, hey, you know what? The government shouldn't, government in check.
Well, we the people need to shrink the government because it's getting way too bloated. Way. I mean, it's beyond. It is beyond the. I like the concept of us being private citizens, but people don't understand that that's a very important thing. And once you give up your privacy, it's very, very hard to get it back.
Oof. We need.
Which is why I hate doing what I'm doing, because I have to give up my privacy. But I don't have a choice, because if I don't do this and make that sacrifice, then I don't think that the world's going to have a chance of getting better. So I do this for you, against my better judgment.
We need more people like you, Leo. We need more people who are willing to sacrifice for the good of the people.
Amen.
So it's frustrating, but it is what it is. Thank you for that, Josh. Well, look, we got more to talk about. We got one more segment here coming up on America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, and Joshua and Traciana. We'll be right back.
In northern Nevada, there's a one-of-a-kind home that provides temporary overnight lodging when veterans or family members are receiving medical care in the Reno area, some from hundreds of miles away. Too often, overnight accommodations are a financial and logistic challenge. Stephanie Tanksley and her husband are veterans who come for treatment from Bishop, California.
We were lucky enough to be connected to the guest house
so that I could stay for 10 nights when my husband was in the hospital. So I was able to visit him every day. It was just a blessing.
Veterans Guest House is privately supported by individual and community donations from people like you who recognize our responsibility to support our heroes. And no government money is received for day-to-day operation of the house.
Please support this organization. The Veterans Guest House is an amazing resource for veterans. Supporting this organization is one of the best ways that you can donate your time and your money just to help our veterans and their families.
Find out how you can help at veteransguesthouse.org.
Hi, I'm Nathan Osmond of OsmondHomeLoans.com. I'm part of the elite team at Security Home Mortgage and want to become your preferred lender. There's never been a better time to lock in the rate. Unlike many of our competitors, we will not outsource your loan. Our setup, processing, underwriting, and staff are all in-house and will help you every step of the way. If you're looking to buy a home in Utah, or if you live here and wish to take advantage of historically low rates, then I am your mortgage man. Be sure to visit OsmondHomeLoans.com today to receive a free quote. That's OsmondHomeLoans.com.
NMLS number 2043092.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters here on Zacky Radio. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Joshua Matriciana, and Shannon Lawson. And, well, we've been covering a whole lot of things today. Kids with guns, computers that are spying on you. I mean, there's a lot going on in this world, and that's why we got to inform you about it. But we got one more subject here that we want to cover with y'all. And, well, Eddie, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
The robot revolution is American made. Meet the figure.
Yep. How about that? The robots making robots. Forget theory, forget the future. Because there's a company right now building American-made humanoids that just flew past every milestone in robotics. And their next move will be your home. So, you might have seen that movie with, what was his name, back in 2005? Or was it, what was that movie? It was the guy who killed himself. Very funny comedian. Robin Williams.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Yeah, what was that movie? Where like that, like everybody had like a robot in their house.
There's been so many of them. The Robin Williams movie, I forget the name of it.
Well, anyways, that's kind of where we're at, right? That's what's coming next. So,
Bicentennial Man, that's what it was called.
Bicentennial Man?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got it. There you go. Anyways, so Figure is now the most sought-after private company in the robotics world. They build humanoid robots equipped with an AI operating system called Helix. So think of Helix as like a digital brain, and it doesn't just follow orders. It reasons, it adapts, and makes decisions like a human employee. Kind of crazy, right? But
wow,
that's the future that we're in. So, I mean, Skynet, it's on the way. That's what it sounds like to me.
We've been talking, we mentioned earlier about how Tesla is not a car company, it's a data company. Tesla's
Right.
also building humanoid robots, more for the workforce. But the thing that makes this company Figure a little different is that the AI is built into their brain, not necessarily connected to the internet.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. Well, right. It is built in, but, obviously they're going to have some sort of connection to the internet to interface with things to get updates. So who says that whatever it's not like they have ears. Their ears are microphones, and it's not that they have a mouth or a voice box. They have a speaker. So who's to say what they quote unquote hear with their microphone ears doesn't get transmitted back to a company? So again, more privacy invasion, more data collection. And, Figure's robot Figure 02 already ran successful trials at BMW's U.S. plant, which is in South Carolina, where they make all the X SUVs, the X whatever, X3, X5, X1, X whatever. So it's not a concept. It's operating right now on American soil. And what's even crazier is they've accelerated their roadmap to get humanoids into homes within 2 years. So that's going to come pretty quickly if they're hitting the strides that they are. I mean, my gosh, they are going to be able to really, really take off with advancing this and getting you to have your little robot, slave, servant, maid, whatever, in your house in no time. So they're not outsourcing production, and they plan the robots here in the U.S. So get ready, because they have visions for a robot assembly line in the future where the robots build the robots.
Wow.
You know what? Trump's tariffs. That is that's one of the reasons why they decided to do it all within the United States. Because hey, they're bypassing the tariffs. They don't have to get Chinese workers to build it. Hey, we'll have American robots build other American robots, and call it Made in USA. We're in a wild world right now. I mean, when you think about it, we're concerned about Chromebooks coming home in the classrooms. Well, what's the next step? They're going to send.
Shoot, we lost him there. Yeah, well, but here's the other thing. I mean, it's going to be American made, but nobody's collecting the paycheck. Robots building robots doesn't mean Americans earn the paycheck. So they're going to have the humanoid robots exist in making new robots, and it's happening. So this isn't like, oh, well, in the future of flying cars that we were promised that will never happen. This is already happening right now, which is crazy to think about. So we're going to rebuild American factories, but we're not going to fill them up with foreign labor. We're not even going to fill them up with domestic labor. We're going to fill them up with American-made machines by American machines. So the Americans are still going to be losing out on jobs, Josh. That's the other crazy part.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm more concerned. Not more concerned, but I'm also concerned with they're sending Chromebooks home. What happens when they're sending robots home?
Yeah, with their grip strength enough to crush a watermelon, or whatever.
We've seen enough movies about this already. We've seen shows like Black Mirror, and we see the future of what's coming. The crazy thing is that it's not science fiction. This is actually happening now.
Right.
Within 2 years, they're going to be available to purchase in the house. It's already for the ultra wealthy. They already have these robots in it. Mark Zuck, he's got one.
Yeah, right. What was this like Ex Machina? Where he makes the robot he can have sex with all the time because he's sick like that. Yeah. Pretty nuts that the AI has gotten to the point where they can operate and move a body that's humanoid-like, that can perform functions that humans can perform. I'm telling you, folks, with this AI revolution that's happening right now, 30% of the U.S. workforce, or just the global workforce, at least the U.S., the developed world that can afford these things, is going to be out of a job. This is, as much as it's bringing all this advancement, it's going to bring a lot of poverty.
We're going to have to definitely pivot on what we're training to do. What jobs are best for humans and what jobs are best for robots. I mean, already robots are pretty artistic. That's one thing that we thought that humans would always have the upper hand on when it comes to creativity, but now AI makes songs that are bangers, makes digital art that's awesome, writes poems that is just, insane.
Yeah, but that's all based on algorithms. It's like, where is it like a genuine thought, and it's just as opposed to like an amalgamation of data.
Well, yeah. I mean, they obviously they needed some source material from that. That source material is going to be humans creating art. But they're able to duplicate it, copy it, and refine it in an instant. Whereas it might take a human, weeks or months to paint a masterpiece. A robot's going to do it in seconds, or, maybe minutes, but seconds really. So it's a scary world we're moving into. But here's the other kind of thing that we have to always consider, like, what role does the government play in this? Does it need to be regulated? Where does the government's interaction encroach on our liberties, or where does it actually help keep us safe? This is an ongoing question, and I don't think that it's going to be answered anytime soon, but it needs to be.
Well, the government's responsible for making sure Skynet doesn't, become self-aware and start killing off, the human population. That's what the government needs to make sure doesn't happen.
Well, who even knows if that's already happened? Maybe, because what was it, Joe Biden?
Are we already living in the Matrix and we don't realize it?
Yeah, I mean, who was running the scene? Who was running the world when Joe Biden was, in his La La Land?
I have my opinions.
You don't think it was AI?
No, I don't. I think you got two letters right. I think you forgot the C part, the CIA. You just had them reversed. AI, reverse that, add a C, CIA. That's me.
Still comes down to unelected officials running the show.
Right. And also foreign entities that hold blackmail over the people that are in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But separate subject.
Other governments who have a lot of sway with people's predisposition to make awful mistakes.
Right. Or sort of encourage that behavior or enable that behavior and then record it to use as blackmail. Again, separate subjects, but getting back to this, I mean, look, this ain't the Jetsons. This is the Model T of humanoid robots that we're about to have enter the playing field here. Are you guys ready for autonomous assistants, robotic workers, AI-powered decision makers living with us? What do you think, Josh?
Well, we are not ready for it. Absolutely not, because we don't have any of the safeguards put in place. They're still having debates on what we're allowed to feed the data, what AI algorithms are allowed to take what data, what's considered personal property. Now that everything's digital, like, no, we're not ready for it. Like, do we want it? Yeah, but are we prepared for it?
I don't think so. I don't know. Well, it's going to be one of those things that we just kind of, it's like learn as you go sort of thing.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
make it.
Let's learn as we go. I mean, they saw it with World War I, right? Learn as you go. Oh, this poisonous gas is not good for people. Let's use it against them. Oh, maybe it's really bad. We should not use it at all. Oh, nuclear weapons. Yeah, that'll end the war. Oh, maybe we should let every country have nuclear power because they can do bad with it. So I think we're going to grow into it. Something really bad is going to happen. And then we'll have to just kind of roll it back and rein it in a little bit. But unfortunately, that's because we love to be reactionary in this world. So will we ever learn from our mistakes? I doubt it. But we could try. So
the first steps of learning about the mistakes, so, is actually bringing it up and having conversations about it and reminding us what history actually went through.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a good place to leave it. Unfortunately, we're out of time, folks. Thanks for joining us today on America Matters, and we'll see you all.
For one nation.